and the gym sessions would be on Zoom just like this, but you'd be doing your gym session and you'd stay connected with the team and everything. So that was good. And then, to be fair, because we didn't know how long we'd be away from football, for the first couple of weeks, we were still having video meetings and things and everything on Zoom. So we was very close. And then luckily, to be fair, we was only away about 5 or 6 weeks, and then we were back training. So I think, yeah, we was quite lucky in the way that the club helped us and stayed in contact. Managers were on the phone every week and keeping everyone involved.
Amazing. There's 2 parts to this question. So the second part of the question is, how do you think you would have dealt with being a goalkeeper during lockdown if you hadn't been in a professional environment? What would you have done to keep yourself motivated?
Well, firstly, I think it was a bit like going back to grassroots and throwing a ball against the wall. I threw the ball against the garage wall probably more times in lockdown than I ever have as a kid. I mean, I had the missus throwing the ball for me. I had throwing it against the wall. I'd got a little trampoline from Argos, throwing that. All sorts. I was just thinking of little things I could do to stay ahead. So I think in your guys' positions as well, I think it's very similar. I think there's nothing. It's not like you can go to the park and have a kick about with your mates and everything. It's what you want to do, and it's as you can make it as much or as little as you guys want. If you just want to go out and do 10 catches a week, then that's what you feel. And if you want to go do 100 catches a week, that's what you want to do, feel. And it's what you want to work on as well. Like before lockdown, I was trying to work on my passing and everything. So I know my hands are quite good. It's my feet I need to improve on. So I was passing against the garage and having a bit of a break from the catching and working on my footwork and everything. So I think it's very similar to you guys. It's just being creative and finding a different way, your own way.
Amazing. I like what you suggested in terms of you knew that you had there was an area in your game that you needed to develop, and rather than focusing on the things that you're particularly good at and replicating the things you're good at, you took an opportunity to work on one of your areas of development, which I think is such an important thing, as I think we get tied up in showing what we can do rather than working on what we're not so great at. So I think that's an amazing message to give to our developing keepers. I think you've just answered this question, but I'm going to put it out there in here. What advice would you give to goalkeepers trying to develop and make a career in football? And that's from Wiggy and Callum.
I think the first one is just never be afraid. Like, you're all going to have not weaknesses, but the parts that aren't as good as other parts. And I think me the same. I'm exactly the same. I have places I'm not as strong as other parts, and it's not being afraid. So if you're not as good with your feet, get on the ball, do things. It's a game of football. No one's going to have a go at you. They might have a go at you, but at the end of the day, you're going to be better for making the mistakes, and just make mistakes. Don't be afraid. Get on with it, and then go from there. I mean, you're only going to get better by practicing the things that you're not good at, but you're going to get better from that. So as long as you get the satisfaction out of that, then that's it.
So yeah, no, like I said, I think you answered that in the previous question, but just to kind of conclude what you've just said, and from a goalkeeping coach's perspective, when you work with a goalkeeper, you're constantly looking at the things that you want to make better within the goalkeeper. And I think it's really important, as you just said, to not be afraid, to be fearless in that, and to be honest with yourself and what your weaknesses are, so you can look at yourself and analyse and say, okay, this is something I definitely need to work on, and then use the opportunity to work on those. From Ruben Allen, how do you cope with the nerves and abuse from playing in front of a large crowd?
I think the nerves one. I think for me, I've managed to turn the nerves around. I rarely get nervous in a game situation. Before the game, I think it's more enjoyment for me. Like I said in the previous question, at the end of the day, if you go out there and give 100%, it doesn't matter whether you've performed to a 2 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. You've given everything you can give, and you can walk off that pitch knowing you tried your hardest, and your skills let you down that day. That's fine. So for me, I think, and I've worked out, I play better when I just go out and enjoy it. Just go out and enjoy it. There's no pressure on you. You show what you can do. And then the abuse one's just, it's a different one. I mean, everyone deals with that in their own way. I had it when I played for Livingston against Rangers. There was 52,000 fans there, and we were playing for the point. I was time wasting. I had a load of angry Rangers fans on my case, and I just turned around and had a smile and a laugh with them, and then it just eases the pressure. But I mean, people deal with it in different ways, and I just think, just don't let it affect you. Just play your game, and that's all you can do.
I think from my perspective, that obviously there'll be parents watching this as well, and as I was a parent of young children, there's a kind of a hidden message in the things you're saying, and what's really important for me is that you're willing to go out and make mistakes. You have not a lack of fear, but you understand there is an element of fear, and you go out regardless of that. You don't shy away from opportunities or challenges and stuff like that. But also having that kind of mentality, that mindset is almost, in fact, I would say that mindset is probably more important and been such an integral part of your success, rather than how tall you are or how good your hands are or how good you are with your feet. What would you say to that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think the mental aspect is the most important part of the game. I mean, you look at keepers, and they're all different sizes, shapes, everything. You've got the muscly ones, you've got the skinny ones, you've got the tall ones, you've got the short ones. But mentally, they've all got the same mentality. They're strong. They don't shy away from anything. They're commanding. They're fearless, and that's the main thing. Just the mentality.
Yeah.
And I think that's what managers look for as well. Scouts, everything. I think that's what they look for.
No,
if you can be a presence, then you can work on your goalkeeping abilities, but you can't work on that. You've got to have that.
Yeah. No, brilliant. From Henry Fremantle, when you first started out, how long did it take for you to get noticed by a professional club?
So I started playing football about 5, and all my friends were in the year above me. So I was playing a year above since I was 5.
Right.
And I got scouted at 7, but I was playing for the under 8, and Huddersfield asked me down to train. I went down, but they thought I was an under 8, not an under 7. So I was quite lucky that I was scouted very, very early, and I've had the chance to work with very good coaches from the age of 7 all the way through. But I think as well, I was just playing in a tournament. But nowadays, the amount of scouts and coaches that know coaches in jobs and everything, I think it's just play well every game you can do, play as well as you can. And to be honest, the amount of scouts that are watching now, everyone's got a chance to just get scouted, and then when you get your chance, you take your chance.
No, I love it. You're one of the. I can't remember the statistic. I've been trying to think while I've been talking. I think it's 0.012% that's been with their club from under 8, under 9, all the way through into the first team. So that's pretty impressive. So I think you've kind of already answered this question, but what made you choose to become a goalkeeper?
I think it just fell upon me. All my friends were playing football. I went to play, and I just didn't enjoy playing football outfield. I just didn't enjoy it. And then one day someone said, "Do you want to try and goal?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay." Tried and goal, and all of a sudden I just started enjoying it. And I thought, this is the position for me. My height helped, because I'm fairly tall, 6'3", so my height helped. And then from there, I just never looked back.
That mindset, isn't it? It's that mentality of don't really like what they're doing. I prefer diving around here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, it's being yourself, being the own person you want to be.
Love it. So that was from Thomas Waters. Really interesting one, and I know where this has come from because I've worked with this goalkeeper quite a lot recently. What's your match day breakfast?
Well, personally, I'm trying to put on a bit of muscle. So at the moment, I'm eating quite a lot. So on a match day, I'll probably have a 3-4 egg omelette, depending on how hungry I'm feeling. And then I'll have a bowl of porridge as well. And that'd be about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And then we'd have pre-match again at 11:30. So me personally, I'm eating quite a lot, but that's because I want to put the muscle on and I need the calories in. But then Jonas, the other keeper at Huddersfield, for example, he will just have a bowl of cereal. That's it. Right. So I think
good.
On a match day, I think it's whatever gets you prepared for the game.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a right or wrong. On a match day, I think your nutrition comes Thursday, Friday if you're playing on a Saturday, and then on a match day, it's just what you feel's right.
Okay. I like the fact you said eggs because that's what I told Felix to eat. This is from Nico. Have you ever struggled in your career? And if you did, how did you cope with it?
Yeah, I mean, at 15, 16, when they were deciding on a scholar, it was between me and another keeper. And the other keeper was ahead for 90% of the season. And then Huddersfield basically said, well, we're going to take the other keeper, we think. But then, like I was saying to Steve earlier, the keeper coach, Clem, that I'm with now, came in and then saw some potential in me and signed me. So gave me another contract. So I just think it's just the belief in yourself, because then I saw that he believed in me. So I knew there was something there that I could find, and then it was just believing in myself and going from there. And then I was on loan at the back end of this season, just been up in Scotland, and things didn't work out as I wanted, really. I got injured up there and only managed to play like a handful of games, 3 or 4 games. But again, like I say, I played in Rangers and I hadn't played for 3 months before that, and to go out in front of 52,000 people and have not had any game time. It's just the belief in yourself. It's just, you know why you wanted to be a footballer. I've got this opportunity. There's so many kids that die for my opportunity. So go out and enjoy it and live it.
I think the enjoyment factor is such an important thing, and you know, professional footballers for me get far too much of a rough deal because of that the top 1% are on astronomical wages and stuff like that. But I think what is often forgotten is the journey and how many setbacks and knockbacks and how much sacrifice I've seen in my time with goalkeepers that I've worked with when I was involved at professional clubs. That, you know, they're not going out with their friends, they're not going down the park, they're not eating a bunch of sweets, they're not having sleepovers on a Friday, Saturday night, because they've got football, and it's that level of commitment through, and it's the level of commitment comes from that enjoyment. That's the only reason why I'm talking about that is I think that's a really important message for parents, because sometimes I know I have witnessed, unfortunately, parents become the driving force of the goalkeeper's life rather than the goalkeeper wanting to be a goalkeeper being the driving force. And I think once enjoyment is the motivator, then it's very, very hard to take that away from the goalkeeper. So it's a really, really important message from you there. Thanks, Ryan. So another question from William. What was it like as a 17-year-old playing for the under-20 team for England against older players? Was that not frightening for you?
To be honest, for me, it was quite surreal. I mean, when I got on the plane and all these lads were there, and I'm thinking, I've seen you on TV, you're in the Premier League, you're playing for Man U. We had Jadon Sancho who's playing for Dortmund. I'm thinking, I haven't even been in the first team squad 6 months yet, and I'm on a plane with all you lot. It was quite a surreal moment. But no, again, I think it's an honour to put on an England shirt, and I think that overrides the factor. You know that you're obviously good enough, because you wouldn't have been given that shirt if you're not. Yeah. So if the manager believes in me that I can do that, and he's risking playing a 17-year-old in an under-20 team, his neck's on the line. So you've just got to try your best to repay him, because he's given all that faith in you, and you've just got to show everyone what you're about, really.
Yeah. I think it's really important to say that you obviously made a very, very important save to win the tournament. So I don't like the fact that strikers get all the accolades. So I think I'll make sure everybody's aware of that one. So as you've stated, you've been on loan at Livingston this season. What have you learnt most about that experience, and was it a strange feeling to be loaned out by your parent club? Well, obviously I know that you've been loaned out. You were at FC United, Manchester and Telford, which for those that don't know were in the National League North, and also you were at Notts County, which are League. Is they still League Two?
No, they were in League Two when I played, but unfortunately got relegated. So now they're in the National League.
National League, that's it.
But yeah, no, I think for me, we like you said, I've been loaned out for the past 5 seasons. Not never for a full season, only for a half season.
Right.
So the first one I went on, FC United of Manchester, was brilliant. It was 45 minutes away from my house. It was ideal for me. I trained with Huddersfield because they were part-time. I trained with Huddersfield and just played for them on a Saturday, and that was brilliant. I was 15 at the time, so that was perfect. And then Telford was a bit different. I was 17. I'd just passed my driving test, and it's obviously 2.5 hours away from me. So at 17, I had to move down there and live down there. And the team were in a real sticky point at the time as well, so that was a tough move, but I learnt a lot. It changes you as a person, because you're playing for points and it matters. Results matter and things. And then obviously I went to Notts County, which was brilliant. In League Two, playing league football, I think I managed to get 17 or 18 league starts, which is obviously good for my age at 19 at the time.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Scottish Prem, Livingston, then seen what I was doing in League Two and wanted me up there as well. So it is a strange feeling, but I know for me I had to go there and earn my trade before coming back to Huddersfield and hopefully fighting for the #1 shirt next year.
Sure. So it's a slightly different environment going from kind of youth team, under 23s, that type of scenario, then playing, like you say, playing for points and, you know, trying to either stave off relegation or, you know, trying to get yourself up and amongst the top teams in the league. So what do you love most about being a goalkeeper? I think you touched on this earlier.
Just the playing and the making the big saves. Making the big saves. It's a feeling that none of the outfielders can experience that, and only as a keeper you know how good it is to make a save.
Yeah.
And you know how difficult it is to make some saves. And I don't think the keepers get the credit for some of the saves that they make.
100% agree.
Especially in the modern day when the ball's moving so much and the game's changing so much. I just think that feeling, you are the only one on that pitch that knows how hard that shot was to save, and it's just a great feeling making a big save in a big stage.
So that was from Mason, and connecting with that is a question from Kai. So what's your favourite save that you've made?
My championship debut. I found out I was playing 2 hours before kickoff, and it was on Sky. I'd supported Huddersfield all my life. I was playing for Huddersfield, and it was funny actually because I had an argument with someone in the wall of where I wanted them to stand. And I'd actually put him in the wrong place, and it came off his shin, and it was going in the corner, and I managed to somehow get a reaction save on it. So if I'd have put him in the right place, it'd have just been an easy pick up, but I wanted to make it look better. So, but no, I think that save for me was the most important, especially with that ended a losing streak as well. So to get a clean sheet in that and to make that save live on Sky with all my friends and family watching was just a special moment.
Amazing. There's a question here. I probably know the answer, but I think it's a good insight for the lads that have not been involved in professional environments. How many times a week did you train as a teenager?
Oh, so in school, I would, year 10, I would finish school, go home. My mum would have a packed lunch made for me that I just have to, ready meal that I just have to put in the microwave, make that. My mum would come home from work, take me straight to football. That was every night. Yeah. Monday to Friday, every night. Saturday you'd usually have off, and then Sunday would be game day. And then as I got to year 11, I started training with the first team in and off. So I'd go to football until 1 o'clock, and then I'd have to get the bus back to school for my last 2 lessons of the day. Again, every day. And then obviously after high school, I was in the first team environment fully then. But I think at most clubs, I think it's near on every day, one day off a week, maybe 2 days off a week. But even on your days off, you're doing things like yoga and recovery and mobility to make sure you're supple enough for the rest of the sessions.
Glad you said yoga. I talk to my goalkeepers about yoga all the time, and they just give me funny looks. And that also touches on what we were saying earlier about people don't see what goes on. There's a picture or a poster that I like, and it's a picture of an iceberg, and the top of the iceberg's just outside the water, and it says success. And then underneath, you've got everything that goes on to make that success. So, like you say, it wasn't like, you were getting chauffeur driven back to school. You had to get the bus, and like you say, you're not missing out on meals, but you're having to get home and eat a packed lunch before you go to training and bits and pieces. So that kind of hard work and sacrifice is paramount to those that have been incredibly successful. How do you stay focused when things start to go wrong for you in a match?
Yeah, I think if you're in a game and you make a mistake, I think the ability just to put that to the back of your mind.
We've lost a little bit.
Lucky I
There you go.
I was just saying our games get filmed, so we're quite lucky with that we know after the game I can go and talk to the keeper coach and say, look, what do you think about this? He can give his opinion. So in the game, I think when I've made a mistake, it's just, right, that's gone. We'll look at that tomorrow. We'll look at that Friday, whenever. Just make sure the next thing you do is a positive thing. If it's a goal kick, just make sure it's struck well or you've passed it to your man. Just do the next thing as a positive. And then before you know, you've forgotten about the mistake. So yeah, I just think the next action's just got to be a positive action. Because when you make one mistake, it leads to another. Yeah. I think that's important in training as well. If you drop a catch, just focus on the next one.
Yeah.
We have a saying at Huddersfield: never two mistakes in a row.
Yeah.
One mistake's followed by a positive action. So yeah, I think it's just getting your mind around. Let's do the next thing positive.
Yeah, it's almost like discarding the mistake as quickly as possible, and just like you say, moving on very quickly rather than we have a tendency, because I don't know how you feel about it, but I think goalkeepers, we tend to be, due to the nature of the business, we tend to be perfectionists, and therefore when we do make mistakes, we're very, very hard on ourselves, and it's learning that mistakes are inevitable and moving on from them.
Yeah, I think on that point as well, I think, like I said earlier, outfielders and managers and things, they hardly ever know when you make a mistake. So only when it's a clear and obvious mistake, they know. So quite often it's your reaction. So if you go slamming the ground when you've miscaught a ball or whatever, they know you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just go pick the ball up and get on with it, they just think
what you doing? That's
the right thing to do. So I think your reaction's quite often a big story in that.
No, agreed. So this is the last question, and then I've got a couple myself. How do you maintain staying balanced of being confident without being cocky, or staying humble without lacking confidence? And that's from Harvey.
I think the main thing is believing in yourself. Just believe in yourself, and then that's your confidence. You can go out onto the pitch, and you can. When you're on the pitch, you need to command. You need to be a leader, and sometimes it does come across as cocky. But if you're doing it in the right manner, the players on the pitch, the management team, everyone understands you're doing it in the right manner. It's when you come off the pitch and you let your habits slip and things, and that's when it appears to be cocky. If your habits are all good and you're doing everything right and you're speaking to people in the right way, I think that's confidence. It's when you start to speak to people in the wrong way that it becomes cocky.
Sure.
But I think there's nothing wrong with going out on that pitch and thinking you are the best person out there. If that's how you have to feel to make sure you're going to play well, then that's how you've got to feel. And the humble one as well, I think. I mean, I've come from nothing. My mum and dad are working class from up north, stereotypical for up here, but quite often we're working class and come from the mills and things like that. So for me, we've come from nothing. So everything I achieve in football, I'm grateful to my mum, dad, sister for sacrificing their weekends. They've sacrificed their weekends for 20 years now to make sure I can play football. So I'm just grateful to them every week.
I think you've hit two very, very important elements of that question. Is it's okay to be confident, and it's okay to have that confidence if you do believe in yourself fully to do what you need to do in a game situation, in a training situation. But it's then, you know, your behaviour and your attitude off the pitch of still being a nice person, still being polite, still being kind to others, without, you know, looking down and stuff like that. And then the humble side of things is, it just reinforces that, doesn't it? It's about, I mean, I remember when I was at Bournemouth, had the opportunity to go in with the first team and assist, and Artur Boruc came on the pitch, and without being around that environment, you know, I'd heard through the grapevine of stories about this and stories about that, and he came on and you could just feel his presence. And then afterwards sat down for lunch, was just the nicest guy in the world. And you just think, but he wanted everything done right. You know, there was no wiggle room for messing around, or not that you would do in that environment, but in terms of, you know, when our youngsters go for training, that, you know, it's okay to be that focused and that confident to do what they want, but as long as you are a decent human being at the tail end of it. I've just been asked a question, but if you go into the pitch thinking you're the best when you make mistakes. So I think it was an extension of that question from Harvey. If you go into the pitch thinking you're the best and then you make a mistake, doesn't that make you feel more down, or is there a way around it?
No, I don't. Personally, I don't think so. I mean, you've got the confidence in yourself to know that all your hard work's gone into you being a professional footballer or playing at the highest level you can. And if you go out there thinking you're the best and you make a mistake, look, how many times has Ronaldo stepped up to a penalty and missed? He's arguably one of the best in the world. Messi the same. How many times has he go try and take on a defender and get tackled, get put on the floor, he doesn't let it affect him. He just gets back up, and because he knows he is one of the best, he just gets back up and gets on with it and shows everyone. It just makes, for me personally, if I make a mistake, it's more I want to show people, actually, that isn't me. That's not me. That mistake's not me. That I'm better than that. I want to go prove now that I'm better than that, and I want to prove that hasn't affected, and I'm going to finish this game better than that.
No, absolutely. It's like, we, you know, as human beings and part of a game that, especially in our area where it tends to get a little bit more chaotic, you know, things get a little bit faster and a bit more frenzy. I think it's important that we're aware that mistakes will happen, but the reaction to the mistake is incredibly important. So I've got a couple of questions for you, Ryan. What did you feel the main difference between playing non-league football and the professional leagues was?
To be honest, I think the standard of non-league football now's got a lot better. I don't think the standard from non-league football to League Two is that different.
Okay.
And the only difference I'd say really is that the fans. There's just more fans in the stadium. There's just more. There's just a bit more added pressure because of the fans, because people are are paying more to see you. They expect greater just because you're stepping up. And then even, to be fair, even to the Championship, when I played in the Championship, I don't think the standard's that different. It's just quicker. It's just a quicker tempo. It's just a quicker speed, and then the higher up you go, the quicker it gets.
Yeah.
But like I say, you train at that every day, so it's no different to what you're training at. But yeah, I just think the tempo just goes up quicker and quicker the higher you go.
Sure. No, I'd agree with that. I'm not similar to you in terms of, obviously, you playing football because you're probably not fit to clean your boots, but I've worked at first team level in the Conference South, National League South and the National League, not up north, but down south, as well as being in and around the professional environment. And there isn't that much difference apart from the error rate is obviously a lot lower and the speed. One more question from me, just a little bit insight from yourself. What is in terms of your training day, because I think there's a premise of footballers turn up at 11, do a little bit of football, and then they're out the door by 12:30. They're home playing on their Xbox by 1. So what's the average day for you in the world of football?
So on a normal day, I wake up at 7, half 7. Because I'm lucky, I only live 10 minutes away from a training ground, so I'm lucky in that aspect. But I'd get up at 7, half 7. I'd take the dog for a walk. I'd come back. I'd have a little bit of breakfast, and then I'd set off to football about 8:45. It'd be a 10 o'clock, half 10 report, so I'd be at the training ground by 9:10 latest. That's 10 minutes past 9, sorry, at the latest. I'd then go in the gym for half an hour. To be honest, I'm usually on my own. Go in the gym for half an hour, do the work I need to do, and then that's more mobility, just keeping on top, bit of yoga stuff, just getting ready for the training session. And then I'd have a bit more breakfast. The lads would come in, ranging from 9:45 to 10:15, whatever's. And then we'd have a meeting at 10:30 about what we're going to do in training. Pre-act after that, probably about 11 till 11:15. And then we'll go out and train, hour and a half training session, back in, lunch, in the gym, home time. So probably home for about 2:30, 3. But when we're working hard. And in the gym, it's lifting weights and doing the gym properly, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, I'm always there an hour early. I try to get there an hour early. Mainly because if people see you there an hour early, they think you've got a good attitude. They think you're on the ball. And it just benefits you. It's no one else it's going to benefit. It's just going to benefit you. If you want to be the best, you've got to work harder than anyone else in your position. Yeah. So for me, that's why I turn up an hour early and try and do half an hour. Because it's half an hour every day. It adds up.
Absolutely. So. Well, I'm out of questions, Ryan. So before we sign off, obviously, I really, really appreciate the time. If there's anything else that I haven't touched that you think is an important message to give out to the youngsters, then please obviously use the platform. But from my perspective, especially from my company Premier One, it's been such a beneficial insight, and I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. I just think as well, just if you're ever unsure on anything, just don't be afraid to ask. Steve's obviously there to help you in your sessions that you're doing and everything, and just don't be afraid to ask, even if you think like I'm not sure about this. Even if it's one of his drills and you're not sure what the drill's meant to be working on, ask him. He's only there to help you. Just ask the coach. They'll only help you. And I think just to work as hard as you can every day and treat every session as it's going to be a last session, and then I think we'll go far.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's nice picking the brains of not only another goalkeeper, but a goalkeeper at the level that you're playing at. I've not saying this because you're on the camera, but I've since being involved with HO, I've followed your career from when you first got picked from England, and you've done fantastic things, and I wish you all the best. It's nice to hear that the things that I'm doing and the vision and ideas that I have, you seem to agree with, which is great from my perspective. But like I say, it's been a pleasure listening to you, answering the questions. I'm sure the lads that are paying attention have taken so much out of it. Ryan, like I say, it's been amazing, and I thank you ever so much for your time. I'm going to end the call, but really, really, really thankful for the opportunity.